It's Reality Check with Craig Price.
I'm an idiot.
4 minutes in and I'm already wrong.
I'm like a monkey. Hello, look at me. Craig, shut up. Hey, I need you guys to do these things.
I'm Craig Price, professional bastard. Nice to meet you.
Welcome to Reality Check with Craig Price. I am your host, Craig Price, and this week, Aidan Crawford is here to talk book marketing. As you might not know, judging from the sales figures I've never received from my publisher, I wrote a book about 2 years ago, and it came out in October 2010. Now, the thing about books is it's not really enough just to write one. I know it's a big accomplishment. A lot of people, it's for you, it's on your bucket list. It's this big momentous occasion, but you still have to know how to market them if you want people to read them other than friends, families, and a small group of folks that's in your network. You know, marketing is not my strong suit, nor is self-promotion, or at least effective self-promotion. And I know many people who have written books and they have no idea how to move them. So I thought Aidan might be able to help us out on this. So a quick disclosure, I have used Aidan's services and they have worked pretty well so far. Granted, my topic of negativity and how you can use it is not an easy sell to begin with. But Aidan has certainly been beneficial to me, so I wanted him to come on and explain to other book writers out there where to begin when it comes to pushing paper off the shelves physically and virtually. But before we get to Aidan, a quick scheduling note. There will not be a podcast next week as I am just going to extend my Labor Day just a bit. But look for us on the 11th. You know, enough of the calendar stuff. Let's talk to Aidan Crawford. The book marketing has been weird because with my book, I spent too much time marketing in my book, and it kind of was. So that's my first suggestion. Anybody have a book who's marketing a book? Don't forget you have a business, because I spent a little too much time marketing the book when I should have been marketing my business and then using the book in a different way. But you specialize in book marketing for speakers. So what's the first thing a person needs to think about before they start marketing their book?
Well, the first thing you have to think about is whether they need a book or not. 20 years ago, it was very hard to make a book, and so it was easier to sell a book because the market was smaller. Today, if you go to the NSA conference, which we both attended a couple months back, you'll find everybody has a book and nobody's making money off them. They're now basically just expensive calling cards that you leave behind when you're trying to get a client.
Well, I've met people who go, "Oh, you wrote a book. You must be smart." And I'm like, "Well, Snooki's got a book.
Everybody's got a book.
Paris Hilton's got a book. So it's not that big a deal if you just sit down and actually write it."
Well, or have somebody ghostwrite it if you've got the money.
Yeah.
There was I had this is important for speakers though. I remember a few years back I was working with a guy, and this isn't books, this is Twitter. We paid he was just starting with Twitter, and so we paid $100 or whatever to get him 20,000 followers on Twitter. And we never thought anything about it. We just did it. And when he was being introduced on a stage, the person who introduced him went off a written script and said, "Oh, and he has 15,000 people following on Twitter, so he must know what he's talking about." So you don't actually know what criteria your clients are using to judge you as a speaker.
And I've been seeing that not necessarily a speaker, but in general, people have been hiring people on their clout scores.
Oh, wow. Well, that's
and not that the clout is the best thing, but if you got a high clout score or you have a low clout score and you say you're a social media expert, it can kind of go, wait a second.
Yeah.
So
I hope nobody goes looking at mine. I think it's terrible. It's not something I pay attention to. I think that's kind of an inside baseball kind of
it's the latest greatest. It's the latest greatest. And people that
want to obsess on their cloud score. I'd rather focus on the clients I have. And I think everybody should. You can get really obsessed with social media, and that's the thing. Whether it be like LinkedIn or anything, and we'll get back to the book in a second. But people get so obsessed with how many followers do I have on LinkedIn, or how many connections do I have on LinkedIn, or how many followers do I have on Twitter, and that becomes, again, much like promoting your book. You're spending more time on that than you are developing your business.
And I'm here with Aidan Crawford with Short Circuit Media, and he specializes in social media, but also marketing for speakers. And you've helped me with my book. We've started the realist-revolution.com, where you can get my book for free. It's one of those things that you've come up with this. Hey, if you give it away, people will get so anxious for the next chapter that they will buy the book.
Well, that's the hope, right? Like you can sign up for your book the way we set it up. That there's 8 chapters in your book.
Sure, we'll say that.
Let's say there's 8 chapters.
I can't even remember what the titles are, the chapter titles are. Do I even have a book? I mean, I have a book.
You do have a book, and I've watched all the videos. They were very good videos. So, but what we do is every week when somebody signs up, and we don't do anything with this newsletter or those signups, but another speaker might want to start using those to build his list. So you join a list, and then you get the book for free. But because the way we've set it up, we're collecting the emails. We're not doing anything with the emails, and people sign up. And each week they get a video that you've created around the theme of the chapter without ever saying in this chapter. And your videos are really unique because they're actually funny videos, and they live independently of the book altogether.
They're a little sketchy. I mean, and when I say sketchy, that doesn't mean that they're shifty weasels. That means they're like sketches.
Yeah.
But some of them are kind of sketchy. But it's one of those things where I didn't want to do what everybody else did, and everybody else kind of stands in front of a bookcase and explains their book, and
that gets tired really quickly.
Real quickly, and it's one of those things. That's why I don't do as much video as I do, is because I don't want it to start looking like everybody else's. But when you want to do something unique, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes people, and I don't have access to all that at all times. So you don't really need to go the way I went and be a little elaborate. It can be, if you can be engaging, as simple as standing in front of a bookcase explaining your book.
Well, one of the things that I try and get across, and I have another client that I'm working with on his book, and what we're doing or we're trying to do, and I'm having a lot of trouble getting him in this direction, is to not say the words in this chapter. Because we want those videos to stand alone from the book. The book is great, but you want to be able to use YouTube and use video, not just to promote your book. When you're on to your next book, those videos are still going to be out there. And if you make them public on YouTube and they're really keyword enhanced, and they're all SEO'd up on YouTube, they can still work for you. But if somebody clicks on them and it starts off with, well, in this chapter, it's like, well, what chapter? What are you talking about? But if you're talking about a general theme of your chapter, then that video gets to live independently of your book as well as complementary to your book. So what we've done with yours is that each week somebody gets a PDF, they get a video, and there's a call to action for either to buy the book, because PDFs are great, but if you've got a Kindle or an iPad, it costs you what, $10 to get it off the Kindle store or the iBook store.
Well, mine is not even Kindle friendly, so for some people who have it on Kindle, it'd be a great way to do it. But it's also one of those things where you have to wait. If you finish the chapter in a day or two, now you have to wait
7 days until the next one. That's the way we've set it up. So, and the great thing about that site for you is that it will live forever, and at any point somebody can come in and sign up, and the process just starts.
Well, I know you were saying that, do you even need a book? We'll say that we have a book. And we're getting ready to go out to market with it. We're getting ready to market it. So what are we looking for? What are some of the ground rules when starting to market a book, especially online?
Well, I think the ground rules are try and get it distributed as many places as you can. And a lot of people, what they do is they go and they've got their book designed and they get all excited and they order 10,000 copies of their book. And then they have a garage full of books. And their wives or their husbands are like, now I can't park my car, because they never get rid of these books. If you're marketing a book, one of the smartest things you can do to start is try and get it onto print on demand.
Do you have any suggestions on where to go?
I like Lightning Source. Amazon has a service as well. Lightning Source is owned by Ingram, who are the biggest publisher in the world, or book producer and publisher in the world, I think. And what they do is they have a special relationship with Amazon where their printing press is actually across the street from Amazon. So if you were to order your book from Amazon or Barnes & Noble, it usually says ships within 24 hours. which is great. You're not on the hook to keep feeding Amazon 10 books at a time. You've paid, I think I believe it's $250 to $300 to get your book into the Ingram system, and it's just there. So all you do is you get a check every quarter for the books you sell. You don't have to pay anything.
So obviously you want to get it to as many places where people can buy it as possible.
Exactly.
So that's the first step.
The first thing, and then you want to figure unique ways to market it. I would say, there's a lot of talk about video marketing, and I believe in it. I think that as an author, as a speaker, but even any author, doing the video summaries of the chapters without saying in this chapter can really help you establish some credibility around your book and some interest in your book. And because not a lot of people do it, you can even use that as a way to, create as a reason for a, you and I haven't done this, but I could see people turning that into a news release on, this is a really neat way to kind of get a book out there in a guerrilla style.
Now, I know you're a big proponent of LinkedIn, and I use LinkedIn. I'm not exactly sure what it's for if you already have a job. To me, it looks like a great way to promote yourself if you're looking for assignments, not necessarily like a speaker or someone who has clients all over the place. But if you are looking for a job, that's the place to go. Or if you're looking to hire someone long term, I use it for testimonials. It's a great place for people they will respond to a testimonial. But you use LinkedIn in different ways than I do. So, but you're also a real believer in LinkedIn. So how can we use LinkedIn to market?
Well, I'm not sure. And if you're in a business-to-business situation, LinkedIn is where you need to be. My mom does not care that you're a professional speaker, so I'm probably not going to like your face on your face. Well, I do like.
Nobody likes my face. Don't worry about that.
I'm not going to like your book, your website on Facebook, because my mom does not care. My high school friends do not care. They just want to see pictures of me falling down doing stuff. But on LinkedIn, it's professional colleagues and connections that I have there. So if I see your content on negativity and I go, hey, you know what? This is something that my friend who is a speaker on negativity, she should probably see this site. And I can forward her that through LinkedIn. I can post it to a group on LinkedIn if there's an article on your site or a blog posting on your site that is relevant to people in that group. And there's a potential for your content to be virally shot to hundreds of thousands of people.
Explain groups to me though, because I know what a group is, but on the LinkedIn site, it's just very difficult for me to get to it. Only because it's not like something that just that fits into my stream. I have to go to my groups. I got to pick the specific group, and then I got to click on the discussions to see what's going on. So for me, that's by the time I get there, I don't really even think about going to groups when I go to LinkedIn. I just look at my feed and see what's going on real quick, and then leave.
And what I do is, by default, you'll be getting a digest from your groups. So what you do is figure out the groups that you're interested in seeing. Generally, you can go to the groups that your clients are hanging out in, or your potential clients are hanging out in, your prospects. Because if I go to the NSA site or the NSA group, I'm shocked at how many speakers are talking about, hey, I'm doing this webinar on my topic next week. These aren't people that are going to hire them. These are their colleagues.
Oh, I'm glad you're seeing that too, because that's why I'm confused. Because when I go to the groups, it's usually a lot of people talking to each other, which is great, but it's not really information that is going to be helping their business. It's just going to help, not in a direct way. It's going to help them. I'm going to be a better speaker because I got some advice from other speakers. It's not going to be, but yet they put all their promotional material out there, all the speakers are going to pay for them.
Every morning I go. I've got about 60% of my business over the last year from LinkedIn, and what I do is, as I'm having my coffee, I look at the emails that I got, the new discussions for NSA and the Canadian Association CAPS, and I look to see, is there any way I can contribute to the conversation. Somebody's asking a question. And so I want to be able to say, okay, I can answer that question really quickly. And if there's a way I can help them out, that's how I establish my credibility. I am not a speaker. Speakers are my prospective clients. So that's where I hang out. If I wanted to hang out in the social media groups all day, that'd be great. But I can't really afford to do that because my clients are not the social media people. They're not going to be the ones hiring me. So I can learn stuff from those groups, but in the end, I want to hang out in groups where my clients hang out. So if, for yourself, for instance, you would probably want to be associated with training groups with HR trainers, VPs, directors, the people that are going to be signing the checks, or the people that are going to, and then they're going to be posting, I've got a negative, or a manager groups where people are saying, my staff are miserable and they're so negative and I don't know what to do. And, Craig Price comes swooping in saying, it just happens that I'm an expert on negativity. And here's some things you can do today to start addressing that.
And without making it too salesy, right? You don't want to be just plastering say a four-word answer, and then the rest of it is just how to connect with you and how to advertise and all that stuff.
You don't want to promote it all.
Exactly.
You want to go in there and you want to contribute to the conversation. You're using that to establish your credibility with these people, so that when it does come time to, it's like, we need a speaker for our fall sales kickoff meeting. It's like, well, Craig Price is great. Like he's always, there's this guy, Craig Price, who's always on the discussion board on LinkedIn. He seems to know what he's talking about. He's got lots of great stuff. And, I actually went and checked out his website after one of his suggestions, and, I think we should consider him, and then you can get on a short list for that. So LinkedIn is a way, if you use it right, you only get out what you put in to LinkedIn. So if you build a profile and imagine you're going to get, all this business out of it, it's not going to work. You really need to figure out where your niche is and kind of start addressing those needs right there on LinkedIn and establishing yourself as the go-to person in that niche.
Now, another question I always ask when I see LinkedIn is, people keep changing their titles, their job descriptions. They change everything all the time. I'm constantly seeing the same person who hasn't changed jobs. I know they haven't changed jobs. They're still doing the same thing, and they keep tweaking and changing stuff. Is that SEO stuff that you're trying to do? Is it they're trying to game the system by changing the to capital to short? What is going on there?
It's not gaming the system. LinkedIn is very good for SEO. If I could send a suggestion to anybody who's listening in, full disclosure, this is a client of mine, but he's a LinkedIn expert, Kurt Shaver, thesalesfoundry.com. What he does is, he has a whole load of little suggestions on how you can improve your profile. And, one of them is, a keyword rich title for your in description, because when people are searching on LinkedIn for connections, you want to be found. So the easiest way to do that is to put in keywords that people are searching for.
And it just seems so confusing because there's every day some other site pops up that everyone keeps telling you you're supposed to join. You get to the point, I don't personally, because I picked my three and I'm sticking with them, and thankfully they're the big three. But all these things pop up that you have to join. They feel like you have to join. Is that necessarily true?
No, it's not. Just because you can doesn't mean you have to. I wish everybody could just embrace that. I like Foursquare. I use Foursquare, but you don't need to be on Foursquare. People attend a webinar or a seminar, and it's like, oh, I need to do this and I need to do that. It's like, you don't need to do anything. What you have to figure out a strategy. How does it fit into your strategy? Do you need to be on all these? Do you need to be on Foursquare if you work from home and you never leave the house? Probably not.
Well, you could be at least the mayor of the house, though.
You could be the mayor of your own house. But I found it very interesting when I was in Indianapolis. I was using Foursquare and Google Latitude so that people could find me anywhere. Like, it was just very public. It was on my website. There's a little red dot of where I am in Indianapolis at any one time. And I found that for me that worked out great. But just because you can doesn't mean you have to. And one of the things I did as a social media guy, people expect me to be all over the Facebook thing, but I'm business to business, and I embrace the fact that my Facebook profile is for my friends and family. It isn't for my business colleagues, because I hate the idea of self-censoring on Facebook.
Yeah, you always got to be careful. I don't have any. I'm on Facebook. I don't allow my clients to friend me unless they're.
I put them over LinkedIn or my Facebook fan page or my Twitter account. That's what I use for business. Facebook is just for me and my family and the guy that people know. So, and so when people go to these seminars, like, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this, all they get is a list of dead profiles and this avalanche of now I have to update something else. So they have to go and figure out, and nobody ever tells them how to interconnect things, how you can set up your RSS feeds to automatically update all your statuses, so you don't have to worry about that using Hootsuite or whatever. What most people do is, like, I was told I need this account. They set up the account, and then that's one other thing to distract them from trying to get clients and improving their business.
Now, I mean, so we got the book. We've got the little site set up. We are on LinkedIn answering questions when we can. What else can we be doing when we're marketing the book?
Well, we've talked about the videos.
We did, yeah. We created the videos, and if anybody wants to know, those we talked about them, the chapter introduction videos. Though we want to make sure that they're not chapter specific. I mean, you don't say in this chapter. But is there anything else we can do to really generate? Because the problem I see with a lot of social media is, if you don't already have the audience, it's hard to get the audience.
Well, it's because everybody's got a book. There's a lot of chatter out there. So, you can start working Twitter. I like Twitter. Most people don't use it properly, so there's a lot of garbage on Twitter. And to kind of get your stuff floating to the top on Twitter is very difficult. So, yes.
Well, I was going to say, I only have so many followers, and if you don't have 15,000 followers, a lot of this stuff seems to be just throwing it out there and hoping that a piece of garbage floats in the wind and lands on like throwing a flyer out there and hoping it lands on someone's windshield.
Yeah, that's exactly it. The cream floats to the top. Do you know what else floats?
Crap.
Yeah. Right. So so anything can actually float to the top at some point, but it's really difficult. And is it worth the effort? Now, some of the things that other people have done to try and promote their books, and it's really labor intensive, but it is effective, is tracking down the top 100 reviewers on Amazon. Now, it's a lot easier if you write books about teenage vampires.
Or spanking. I saw that on Bill Maher the other night. It's like, name me a book that's not about vampires or spanking children.
Yeah. So, those self-help books, there's millions of them. So it's difficult to get in there. But what you do is, if you can get those guys reviewing your books, the top 100 guys are followed by people, and people take their reviews seriously. And if you can get them reviewing, giving you good reviews, some of them, and you're putting your book out there for a review, they may say, your book's a piece of crap, and you have to be man enough to accept that that's what it is. That you're going to have somebody saying a bad thing about your book on your book page. So if you can use your author account on Amazon actually to use some of those videos that you've created for your book, so you can put a video of your book on Amazon as well. Get as many of those reviews on Amazon from the top 100 reviewers. Ask anybody who's ever bought a book from you to review your book on Amazon. You can do a free webinar. I had a client a couple of years ago. He launched his book, and he did a free webinar. He said, I'm going to do this webinar. He had 800 people came to the webinar. He sold 1,000 books in 24 hours. But he sold them all himself. He didn't sell them. He didn't direct them to the Amazon feed to buy the book. Here's what his tragic mistake was, and we thought about this later. If he had sold 1,000 books in one day, he would have been in the top 25 books on Amazon, which that kicks Amazon into gear to start promoting your book for you.
Same. And it's also it has a lot to do with what subcategory you put yourself in.
Yeah. So
my distributor did not. He put me under self-help, which I never wanted, but he put me under self-help, and now that was it. And now I'm fighting with every self-help book.
Exactly. So working Amazon is very important. There's a book by Aaron Shepard. It's called Aiming at Amazon. And it is a great. It should be the Bible for anybody who's writing their own book.
Repeat that one again so people can hear it.
Aaron Shepard, Aiming at Amazon.
Okay.
It's a Bible. It's the Bible for anybody who's self-publishing a book. Lots of great ways on how to get your book selling on Amazon.
Now, last thing before we go, and I know there's always talking about the keywords when you even said it. You want to make sure your YouTube has keywords. How can we find the right keywords, and how can we interject them into our copy so it doesn't sound clunky? Because I mean, I've seen some horribly written, probably fantastically optimized pages that when you read it, it just sounds so salesy and it sounds so clunky because every other word is the keyword.
Well, I would say that that's the product of bad writing. You can have a page that's totally not SEO'd up that has terrible writing as well. Not everybody's a writer. It's not a gift everybody has. If you're looking for a great keyword tool, Google actually has a free one for you. Just go to the big G and type in Google Keyword Tool. They have an AdWords tool. It'll tell you how often a term has been searched for in the last month. And what you do is you start off with making a few guesses of what are people searching for, and it'll give you related terms and how often they were searched the previous month. So what your goal is to find a word or a term that is searched, that's in your niche, that's searched plenty of times each month, but there's not a lot of competition for it. That means people aren't paying or optimizing for that keyword. So you can own some of those longer tail keywords or words that are really specific in your niche. So I don't have the Google keyword tool open for me, but for you it might be typing in negativity in the workplace. And it's like, it was searched 1,500 times last month, and it looks like nobody's actually optimizing for this keyword, so I'm going to optimize for that. But it might also give you some suggestions about my employees are really negative, was searched just as many times, or maybe let's say it was searched half as many times. But if they're saying my employees are really negative, that's probably the person who's going to hire you. So you want those. You'd rather have 500 people with using a specific keyword that's going to result in you getting hired than getting 10,000 useless people showing to your site going, oh well, this isn't what I was looking for.
Quality versus quantity.
Quality, definitely. I would rather have 100 people come to my site a month if those 100 people were pre-qualified using the keywords that I have.
Well, I want to thank you for your time. We're out of time, but it's shortcircuitmedia.com. You can be found at Aidan Crawford on Twitter.
Yeah.
And of course, if anybody wants anything about book marketing, they can either contact you, they can contact the show. Someone somehow will get to you if they want to through this podcast. I appreciate you spending time with us.
No problem. Anybody who wants me to have a look at their site, I got lots of free advice. Love to talk.
Once again, I want to thank Aidan for his time. You can find my book and see what Aidan is doing for me at realist-revolution.com. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at RealityCheckPod. And if you like the Facebook page, you can listen to the podcast from your timeline every week. Except next week. We're back on the 11th. Enjoy your Labor Day, everyone.